Beyond the Veil of Summer. It was one of those suffocating summers when the heat seemed relentless. The city streets were empty, desolate, as if the entire world had gone on vacation, except for him. Lorian found himself wandering aimlessly, seeking refuge from the oppressive heat and that sense of stillness. The cicadas, ever present, filled the air with their hypnotic song, marking the passage of time, while the high sun seemed to crush everything beneath its weight. One afternoon, to escape the city's heat, he sought shelter in a small forest hidden among the hills. There, under the dense canopy of trees and the thick shadows that enveloped everything, time seemed to slow. The air was cooler, the sounds muffled, and for the first time after days of unrelenting heat, Lorian found a semblance of peace. It was during one of these walks that Lorian saw something that caught him by surprise. Among the bushes, a figure sitting on a rock seemed to be a part of the landscape itself, as if she had emerged from the ancient memories of the forest. It was a girl, beautiful, with long dark hair framing her face and deep eyes that seemed to peer into his soul. "Hello," she said, as if she had been expecting him. Lorian approached, drawn by an irresistible curiosity. "It's not often you see someone here," he said, trying to gauge this almost otherworldly presence. She smiled sweetly but enigmatically. "I don't often meet anyone here either," she replied. Her tone was light, but every word seemed to carry a weight that resonated in the forest's silence. And so they began to talk and spend time together. From that day on, the two started meeting more and more frequently. The girl didn't talk much about herself, but every word she uttered was imbued with emotion. Lorian couldn't understand why, but he felt a strange connection to her, as if they had known each other for a long time. It was as though her presence called forth fragments of a forgotten dream. They spent hours among the trees, their steps and laughter filling the forest like an echo of suspended joy. Yet, every time he tried to learn more about her, she gracefully changed the subject, as if guarding a secret that couldn't be revealed. Weeks passed, and for Lorian, each day began with the desire to see her again. Each time he saw her, their bond grew stronger. Yet there was always something elusive about her, as if every meeting was part of a larger, darker design. She always appeared when he least expected it, and disappeared just as quickly, leaving him in the forest with a suspended heart and a deep sense of emptiness. One afternoon, when he couldn't find her in their usual spot, he ventured beyond his village to the next town in search of clues about her. He knew almost nothing about her private life, not even her name. Her vivid image accompanied him, and he began asking around if anyone had seen her. For hours, he questioned passers-by, the village elders and patrons of an old cafe, but no one seemed to know her. Just as he was about to give up, an old man with a weary, melancholic air looked up from his coffee, observing him carefully. "The description you've given. It sounds like someone we lost a long time ago," he said. "A young girl, disappeared without a trace. The woods, they say, can swallow people, you know." Those words pierced Lorian like a thin blade. It couldn't be true. He had spent entire days with her, touched her, heard her voice, felt the warmth of her gaze. The thought that she had disappeared years ago was absurd. His mind filled with unanswered questions, but one thing was clear. He had to see her again. He had to uncover the truth. That evening he returned to the forest. Night was falling, but he wasn't afraid. He wandered among the trees, calling out to her, while the cool evening air grew denser and more enveloping. And then he saw her. She was there, among the forest's shadows, almost translucent under the rising moonlight. Her face, pale and serene, emanated a sorrow he had never noticed before. Lorian's heart raced, his legs almost gave way, but he found the courage to approach her. When he reached her, he held her tightly, and with a lump in his throat, he said, They told me that a girl like you was declared missing years ago," he stammered, trying to steady his broken voice. What's going on? Are you that girl? Tell me the truth." She lowered her gaze, her face veiled with deep melancholy. She seemed to carry within her a weight too great, a secret that once revealed could never be forgotten. Finally, in a voice trembling with pain, she whispered, "You've discovered me." Her words seemed to spill out with difficulty, as if speaking them caused her pain. "I have not been alive for many years." Lorian stared at her, confused. "What do you mean?" She lifted her gaze, offering a sweet and sorrowful smile, as if trying in vain to hold back tears. "I died a long time ago," she murmured, as if freeing herself from the secret that had imprisoned her for years. Her words hit him like an icy wave, taking his breath away. The world around him seemed to grow darker as he desperately tried to grasp the meaning of what she had just confessed. But she looked at him with infinite tenderness, her face marked by a sadness he had never noticed before. "The time I spent with you," she continued, her tone filled with gratitude and nostalgia, "made me feel alive again. It was the greatest gift after years of solitude." Lorian lowered his gaze, unable to find the words, but she placed a hand on his face, her touch as light as a breeze. "I have one last favor to ask," she whispered, her voice fading among the trees. "Find me, Lorian. Find my body so I can finally be free." Before he could say anything else, before he could grasp the meaning of her words, she vanished, dissolving into the air like mist at sunset. Alone, in the middle of the forest, Lorian was overwhelmed by silence and a crushing pain as the truth took shape in his mind. She had always been there, invisible to others, suspended between the world of the living and the dead, a shadow seeking peace that only he had been able to see. Her words echoed in Lorian's mind, a whisper that haunted him every moment. "Find me." Those words called to him, even in the solitude of his days. He couldn't ignore her request, nor pretend it had been a dream. He felt her plea like a flame consuming him from within. He could no longer sleep or eat. He needed clarity. He had to find her body and give her the peace that he was now certain she had been seeking for years. After a few days, Lorian ventured into the forest. He followed the trails they had walked together, revisited every spot where they had met, and examined every detail with an intensity he had never felt before. Every tree, every stone seemed to hide a fragment of the truth. After hours of searching, he arrived at the place of their first meeting, the moss-covered rock where he had first seen her. His heart stopped for an instant when he noticed something among the undergrowth. A faded, tattered piece of fabric caught between the roots seemed to wait patiently to be discovered. He picked it up with trembling hands, recognizing the material. It was part of the dress she always wore. A wave of dizziness hit him as the urgency to uncover the truth transformed into an unrelenting force. With a desperate resolve, he began moving the rock where she used to sit, his hands digging feverishly into the earth as though guided by some unseen will. His mind clouded, consumed by the desire to bring her to light, to find her in some way. Finally, his fingers touched something hard and cold. With utmost care, he cleared away the dirt until the outline of a body, hidden for years, began to emerge. She was there, buried beneath layers of silence, as though the forest had protected her until he would come. A sharp pain tore through him, and tears, silent and uncontrollable, streamed down his face as he knelt beside that forgotten body, now finally found. In the quiet of the forest, a gentle breeze brushed his face. He lifted his gaze and saw her. She was there, bathed in the soft light filtering through the branches, like a tender and sweet apparition, smiling at him with a serenity he had never seen before, as though the darkness that had enveloped her for years was finally lifting. "Thank you, Lorian," she whispered, her voice filled with infinite tenderness. "You found me. The time we spent together was the greatest gift. I will never forget it." He stared at her, his eyes brimming with tears, unable to speak. His injured hand still trembled, yet he felt a newfound peace, as if the weight he had carried in his heart for weeks was beginning to fade. She leaned in and embraced him, as delicate as a sigh. Then she brought her lips close to his ear and whispered a few words, secret yet powerful. Words that seemed to dissolve every doubt and soothe every torment. A faint smile crossed Lorian's lips, a smile both sweet and sorrowful. With a trembling voice, he murmured, "I found you." She replied with a gentle smile and a fragile voice, "Yes, you found me." He held her tightly, closing his eyes to savor that final moment, the faint warmth of her embrace and the sweet scent that surrounded him, like a promise of eternity. He felt her presence slowly fade, dissolving like mist under the first rays of the sun. When he opened his eyes, she was gone. And yet, a mysterious warmth filled his heart, flooding him with a tide of emotions, pain, sweetness, and a melancholy he knew would never completely fade. After hours spent in that place, trying to process what had just happened, night fell slowly, and Lorian knew it was time to inform the police about the discovery of the missing girl's body. After a brief questioning and some advice on how to cope with what he had seen, he remained there until the very last moment, as if hoping for a miracle. But she did not return. A few days later, the funeral was held, and the entire community gathered to bid their final farewell. Among faces veiled in tears and fresh flowers, Lorian stood by the grave, unable to look away. Every prayer and every whisper rising around him seemed to bring back fragments of their summer, echoes of the bond that, though brief, had changed his life forever. Her family thanked him, their eyes marked by a grief that time had softened into resignation. "We searched and waited for years," her father said, shaking Lorian's hand with a trembling grip that revealed the weight of their loss. "And you brought her back to us. We can never thank you enough." Lorian responded with a nod, unable to speak through the lump tightening his throat. He knew it had been love, that intangible connection they had shared, that had guided him to this moment. As the sky turned golden with the hues of sunset, Lorian remained alone, kneeling before her grave. His hands rested on the cold marble, and a gentle breeze stirred, as if acknowledging his presence. With a whisper barely audible, he spoke his final words to her. "You will never be forgotten now." Tears fell freely down his face, but this time there was a new peace, as if she were there beside him, in every breath, in every beat of his heart. He rose, his gaze lifted to the starry sky, and as he walked away, he felt that even though he would never see her again, she would remain alive within him. Like a gentle shadow blending with the light of that summer, a summer that had turned his world upside down in a way so beautiful, so painful, that it felt like a long, nostalgic dream at the close of a season. If you enjoyed this story, you'll find many more right here on the channel. Subscribe, leave a like, and support me so you don't miss the next tales. Thank you.